Welcome to a fascinating tour of the United States that goes beyond its stunning cities and iconic landscapes. In this unique exploration, we will immerse ourselves in the cultural richness and picturesque beauty of the 26 most beautiful towns in America. From charming historic towns to cozy nooks and crannies, we'll discover the authenticity and uniqueness that defines these hidden gems. Get ready for a visual and cultural journey that celebrates the diversity and wonder hidden in every corner of this vast country. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like what you'll see below. 1. Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Harpers Ferry is, geographically speaking, a meeting point. It's where the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers meet, and where West Virginia, and Maryland border. The picturesque intersection and the surrounding Harpers Ferry National Historical Park give this town a very particular beauty, especially during the autumn months, when it is flooded with golden and reddish tones. In addition, in the town itself you can take terrifying night tours and historical tours through the same streets where John Brown incited the Slave Rebellion in 1859, one of the events that contributed to the beginning of the Civil War. There is also a good variety of activities for those with a thirst for adventure: kayaking, ziplining, rock climbing, and hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. 2. Nantucket, Massachusetts. This summer destination par excellence receives numerous visitors every year, attracted by the pleasant walks through its narrow streets surrounded by low houses and by the lighthouses that surround the island, which are easily reached by bike and from which spectacular photos can be taken. Although small, this crescent-shaped island has a considerable variety of terrain, from the dunes near the coast and marshes to towering cliffs. You'll come away with more than one unforgettable image. 3. Taos, New Mexico. Adjacent to the desert, 100 miles north of Santa Fe, lies Taos, a town with a fascinating history. Just to the north, in a concentration of population in the same county, a Native American community has lived there for almost a millennium. Taos Pueblo, independent of Taos and with restricted access, is one of the places where people have lived uninterruptedly for the longest time, as well as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 4. Lake Placid, New York. This little town in the Adirondack Mountains is beautiful year-round. Its gentle slopes and huge freshwater lake delight hikers, fishermen, and skiers. It has hosted the Winter Olympics twice, once in 1932 and again in 1980, and is a popular destination for getaways from nearby towns. It has a population of about 2,500, but has several luxury accommodations, including Whitefish Lodge, Lake Placid Lodge, and Mirror Lake and Resort and Spa. 5. Woodstock, Vermont. If you're looking to experience deep New England in all its glory, this Green Mountains town has little competition. Its perfect little park, its white church with a tower that stands out against the surrounding trees. It's the ideal destination for lovers of antiques and classic bed and breakfasts. Some of the lodgings have been around since the 1750s. Almost all of the buildings are on the National Register of Historic Buildings, including the F.H. Gillingham and Sons store, whose origins date back to 1886 and where you can buy such traditional and typical souvenirs as maple candy. 6. St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine technically counts as a city, but its peaceful beaches and natural surroundings convey that secluded feeling we seek when we choose less urban tourism. It's considered the oldest city in the United States, and its brick pavement, Spanish colonial architecture, and historic buildings like the 17th century Castillo de San Marcos seem to attest to that. 7. Sedona, Arizona. In the shadow of a red rock promontory lies this destination prized for its scenery and night skies. Sedona has a fascinating relief, with monoliths, canyons, and natural columns that attract all those visitors eager to see red rock country. When the skies are clear, the nights bring a brilliant and mesmerizing blanket of stars. To stay here, L'Auberge de Sedona's prime location offers incredible views in every direction. 8. Friday Harbor, Washington. This beautiful hamlet is located in northwest Washington. The Roche Harbor Marina is nearby, and is a perfect place from which to explore uninhabited islets by boat. Friday Harbor used to have a strong industrial sector, but now that the economy is largely centered around tourism, its main attraction is its kayaking and killer whale watching areas. Thanks to year-round ferries from Anacortes, the island is easy to reach in any season. 9. Sitka, Alaska. It is not for nothing that Sitka is said to be the most beautiful town in Alaska. The mountains known as the Sisters in the background, the fir trees that grow almost to the coast. Its Old West aesthetics and its flat wooden facades make it look like something out of a John Wayne movie. It is a cozy, compact village by the sea surrounded by natural beauty, a secluded corner with everything any hiker or climber could want. You only have to go a few miles away to feel far from civilization. 10. Paia, Hawaii. This little town on Maui's north shore has everything you need to indulge in a desert island fantasy. Downtown Paia is beautiful, of course, and has things you wouldn't expect to find in such a remote place, like a tattoo studio and several boutiques selling beautiful, locally produced beach accessories. But whoever knows this place comes back for the beach, more specifically Ho'okipa Beach Park, a state park that attracts surfers, windsurfers, and kite surfers with its perfect waves and many more people for its white sands and crystal clear waters. If you need to refuel during one of those long days at the beach, stop by the Paia Fish Market for lunch. 11. Telluride, Colorado. This mountain town has a distinct personality, as well as being a haven for winter sports and adventures. When it snows, it has perfect ski slopes and beautiful scenery, but it's also charming during the spring and summer months. Even without the white blanket, the town receives a good amount of visitors thanks to its music and film festivals and wildflower hiking trails. In addition to all these outdoor activities, downtown Telluride has several art galleries and independent stores selling the perfect souvenirs, such as crossbow leather belts and wallets, and between the covers books to liven up your return trip. 12. Camden, Maine. This traditional New England town is so photogenic that it was the location chosen to film Wuthering Lives, a 1957 movie about a seemingly idyllic village. Camden's motto is "Where the mountain meets the sea," and its two mountains, Batty and Bald Mountain, rise imposingly behind the town. The root-up Batty Mountain offers spectacular views of the harbor, especially when you reach the top. Most of the commerce in this area is geared toward tourism, but there are places that stand out, such as the boutique Whitehall Hotel. 13. Whitefish, Montana. Most of Whitefish's fame may come for its ski resort, but this Rocky Mountain town has plenty to offer in any season, as evidenced by the fact that it ended up among Airbnb's top summer destinations for 2021. When temperatures rise, there are fantastic hiking and biking trails and areas to zipline. The town's main avenue is also very pleasant for strolling, and its wooden canopies and little local shops will make you feel like you're in a remake of a classic western. It's also very close to Glacier National Park and is a great place from which to explore its stunning lakes, glaciers, and mountains. 14. Carmel by the Sea, California. Although it is also a city by numbers, its classic cottage-style cabins cannot be left out of a list of the best towns in the United States. Strolling through its colorful streets is a pleasure in itself, but you can also find all sorts of art galleries and specialty boutiques. You've probably already heard of California's famous beaches, but Carmel by the Sea has much more than just coastline. 15. Sagatuck, Michigan. This tiny hamlet of less than 1,000 people is tucked among the dunes on the west shore of Lake Michigan and is a beloved spot for kayaking, buggy riding, or just lying in the sun. It's the quintessential getaway destination for Chicagoans because of its proximity and art scene, plus its wineries and restaurants. Don't miss Chef Melissa Corey's Pennyroyal Cafe and Provision. If you feel like exploring a bit of local culture, stop by the Discovery Arts Center and the Center for the Arts Sculpture exhibit. If you time your trip right, you can catch some of the shows and theatrical performances at the center for 16. Lynworth, Washington. It is curious to find, in the middle of the Cascade Mountain Range, a town difficult to distinguish from a Bavarian village. Leavenworth's charm is mainly due to its alpine architecture and the abundance of German restaurants where you can enjoy traditional sausages and beer. Not to be missed, of course, is the annual Oktoberfest celebration. If you're in the mood for a bit of nature, the mountain lakes also have that alpine flair that is so appealing on the other side of the world. Enjoy nature with its abundant hiking trails alongside forests and rivers. 17. Magnolia Springs, Alabama. Magnolia Springs encapsulates the essence of that Alabama charm. As if that weren't enough with its rare vegetation, oak-vaulted streets, and historic churches, it's one of the few towns in the United States where mail still arrives by boat. Enjoy its hospitality by immersing yourself in the surroundings in one of the 5 cozy rooms at the Magnolia Springs Bed and Breakfast, built in 1897 and featuring original stained glass windows and wood decorations. 18. Marfa, Texas. Marfa has become a must-see cultural destination despite being a very isolated region. Its 16 galleries may seem like a lot for a population of less than 2,000 people, but that's not even the end of what this little corner of the Chihuahuan Desert has to offer. The Chinati Foundation has hundreds of works by Dan Flavin, John Chamberlain, and Donald Judd, among others, and the Hotel St. George offers all the amenities you could want. For more economical and exciting trips, El Cosmico has brick-floored teepees where you can sleep with the feeling of being in the middle of nature without giving up comfortable beds or electricity. For lunch, Planet Marfa serves spectacular nachos, among other dishes typical of the region. 19. Cape May, New Jersey. This charming yet historic town lends itself to long walks at any time of day. Its Victorian district and colorful, elaborately decorated parsonages make for beautiful photos, but the peninsula is also a prime birdwatching spot. Between March and December, whales can also be spotted from the coast. As for accommodation, the Virginia Hotel has excellent beds and its own restaurant is worth a visit. 20. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. This small town tucked away in the Ozark Mountains is a place of contrasts. One street may be lined with churches and Christian bookstores, but the next you'll see all sorts of crystal and charm stores and some of the self-proclaimed ghost hotels. There are old Victorian houses filled with hikers and adorned with rainbow flags. Bed and breakfasts house their continuous visitors next to breathtaking cliffs that make you feel like you're miles from anywhere inhabited. It's a few hours' drive from Tulsa and Springfield, and worth the trip if only for the hard-to-describe feeling it gives, and for the amazing views of the Ozark Mountains, of course. 21. Montpelier, Vermont. Despite being the capital of Vermont, Montpelier has less than 10,000 inhabitants, which makes it the least populated of all the state capitals of the country. Its size gives it that small-town charm, where instead of Starbucks we find local maple syrup producers and lots of little shops and cafes, all with the traditional European architecture that characterizes the town. As with so many other places in Vermont, in the fall everything is awash in shades of red and yellow, and in the winter you can participate in outdoor activities like ice lake fishing and skiing. But whatever time of year you go, don't miss the Vermont State House and the Vermont Historical Museum. 22. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. The resort atmosphere and year-round tourist attractions have kept Lake Geneva at the top of many U.S. travel recommendation lists. In the summer and spring, water sports steal the show, even when the water isn't yet the ideal temperature for swimming. But if you fancy a slightly different experience, you can see the town from the air with a hot air balloon ride or one of the treetop tours, with 5 suspension bridges and 8 zipline sections. The Gatsby-like atmosphere is best enjoyed from a table at the Baker House, an 1885 mansion with a garden terrace where champagne brunches are served to live piano music. 23. Bar Harbor, Maine. There are few towns with such pure beauty as this small town on Mount Desert Island. The proximity to Acadia National Park is hard to ignore and makes this a great place for outdoor activities. And there's something for everyone. Biking and hiking trails, boating, fishing, rock climbing, bird watching, beautiful blue waters to swim in, horseback riding, and tree species identification tours. It is also one of the best areas in the country for whale watching if you go at the right time. If you need to refuel, you can choose from dozens of restaurants, but the pancakes at Two Cats Bar Harbor are something special. 24. Beaufort, South Carolina. On the island of Port Royal is this small town known for its very old mansions and architecture. It is the second oldest city in the state, and some of its buildings were built in the early 18th century. Its classic facades are beautiful with the coastline in the background and surrounded by oak trees. You'll have no shortage of places to take photos, but the historic district, listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1969, is the perfect place to capture the grandeur of the mansions. Be prepared to eat a lot and eat well. Try the wasabi deviled eggs at the Old Bull Tavern, the traditional shrimp and polenta at the Saltus River Grill, and the lamb roll at Breakwater Restaurant and Bar. 25. New Shoreham, Rhode Island. An hour's ferry ride from Rhode Island is Block Island, a getaway with all the charms of New England, with its lighthouses, grassy shores, and hiking trails. New Shoreham is the only village on the island, but it's full of boutiques and restaurants worth checking out. Since this doesn't take long, you can leisurely enjoy a stay at the Block Island Beach House. Its floral wallpaper, decorative surfboards, white-painted rooms, and rental bikes will give you all the feeling of having your own beach house, but without the worry of maintenance. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much.